Okay, good evening, everyone. I know it's evening in West Africa, but I know in a number of places it's morning or afternoon. I know it's afternoon in North Carolina, where Kyle is.
Okay.
Um, my
Alpha.
my name is Kyle. My name is
We
Yakubu.
started.
My name is Yakubu, and I'm a family physician in North Central Nigeria. Um, I coordinate one research group, theme group, committed to making research part of their daily routine. And today, we just want to have a forum to discuss amongst like-minded people. Um, how do we overcome these challenges, and particularly the challenge of making research a routine practice for busy people? At this stage of our career, we are people who find ourselves very busy dealing with family, dealing with our clinical routines, and social aspects of our lives, and yet still want to make an impact on research. So I'm going to allow our panelists to introduce themselves. They will just tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do. I'm going to start with our invited guest, Kyle. Incidentally, Kyle is the chair of Polaris. I have to mention that he helped me write my first paper, so I'm very happy that he's here. So we're going to start with Kyle, and then we go over, and every other person will take turns to introduce themselves.
Hi all, Kyle Hoedebecke from the United States on the East Coast of North Carolina. I am going into my third year of practice after residency completion, and I really did not think that I was a researcher, really wasn't even interested in it until I actually tried it, and that was the beginning of my residency, and since then I've just been continuing with at least 2 to 3, sometimes more projects at a time. And what I've really liked about it is rather than take me away from colleagues and my support network, it's actually grown that support network, my knowledge, and improved medicine, not only here at home but abroad. So that's why I keep doing it and stay involved. Looking forward to talking and hearing from the rest of you.
Thank you, Kyle. Joy, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joy. You can hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm Joy. I'm a family physician, very young family physician in Kenya. I just started off my my new workstation in Ravine, which is based in the Rift Valley. I've had quite a lot of support from Kylie and from Ken, and I would say I'm glad to be part of this whole group. And yeah, basically that's me, mother of 3, wife. It's not easy. It's a tough thing, and then add research on it and Ken on our necks. So it's a tough thing doing all this, and I would like to know how you balance it all. So back to you, Ken.
Okay, I'm not too sure whether everyone had everything, but Joy Mugambi is a young family physician from Kenya, and she's also a member of the AfriWon research theme group. Um, I'm sure she said something about me being on her neck a number of times about projects. Yeah. All right. So just to remind us to mute our microphones if we're not speaking, so that we have less interference. We have Nagwa. Nagwa, please. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. Sorry,
Hi.
I'm having. Hi, how are you? How are you, Kenneth?
Good to have you.
It's nice to be with all of you. It's Nagwa Nashat, chair of Razi, East Mediterranean Region Young Doctor Movement. I'm also a lecturer of family medicine in Family Medicine Department at Nufia University. I'm really glad to be with you today in this session and ready to help in any way that could be possible.
Thank you, Nagwa. Like I mentioned, Nagwa and Kyle were the two people who helped me write my first paper, so I am really, really happy to have them here. So we go to Gomez. Gomez. Okay. So, well, any other person else can just introduce yourselves. I know we're going to be having
Hello. Yeah, you can hear me?
fluctuations and
Yeah.
I'm Gulnaz. I'm a consultant family physician. I also work with the University of Aga Khan in Nairobi, and I'm also in my practice. I'm not as young as all of you. So I've been practicing for a long period of time, but then ventured into the field of family medicine. And here I am, and I love doing research, and especially under the leadership of Yakubu.
sorry, I had a little bit of a hitch there. So who is introducing herself or himself? Barbara? We've heard from Kyle, we've heard from Joy. Who else wants to introduce him or herself?
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm a family physician in the state of Texas in the U.S. I'm originally from Puerto Rico as well. And basically, I'm one of the attendees, right, or clinical professors here in the School of Medicine with the University of Texas at the Rio Grande Valley, which is actually in the U.S.-Mexico border. One of the reasons that I want to participate in this is because I believe that there needs to be greater collaboration as we continue to do research that promotes primary care, and that also gives, a good status to the specialty.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much, Maria. Okay, I think we'll just go ahead and get started. We're a little bit behind schedule. Um, so I'm going to allow my guest panelist, Kyle, start off by telling us what his first experience was like. I know a number of times family physicians have started their journey in research because they had to qualify and they had to be part of take an exam or something. But let me ask you, when did this become for you a personal decision? When you said, this is what I want to do. I'm interested in this for me. So Kyle, can you?
Sure.
Yeah.
So my very first project was during my intern year, which is our first year in residency, of our 3-year residency. We had to do at least one project, and now it's actually gone up to 2 because it's so important in the formation of family physicians, and not just family physicians, all physicians. So what I did was basically find a project that I was interested in. Instead of if I'm going to be doing this extra work that I had to do anyways, should be something that at least I enjoyed. So I found a topic, and since I'm a military physician, and I see a lot of patients who have injuries with parachutes, we transitioned from an old parachute system to a new parachute system without ever looking at the differences in incidence of injuries. So I said, hey, this is actually applicable to my patients, to me, and it was something I really enjoyed doing. So I teamed up with a mentor. So I was the only actual physician on the team. However, all the others were pure PhD researchers. So it was really good to offer my perspective as a physician, but also see their perspectives as professional researchers and how that was able to improve upon my care and upon my understanding of doing research. And then that project just really opened up a lot of doors for me, and I just enjoyed it. I never thought I would enjoy it that much. So I tried it with a couple other projects, and then I tried taking leadership roles and kept doing it that way. So my suggestion would be, if you've never done anything before, find somebody who has, and team up with them, and you have them help you as a mentor, so that we can all improve family medicine research together.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Kyle. Nagwa, can you tell us what your own first experience was like? You know, just starting out as a young researcher.
Actually, research is one of the cornerstone in our department, as it's one of the things that should be done in order to have your career pathway going from a point to another.
Okay.
Do you hear me well?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nagwa. I think I've lost Nagwa. Okay. Well, since while we wait for Nagwa to come back, maybe we'll move over to you, Maria. Maria, will you want to tell us a little bit about your journey, how you started out as in the research?
So I started doing research when I was also in training during residency. I think that as my experience, as well as with Kyle, it's more about finding something that you're interested in, because I think that that will help you, you know, move the project forward, because it's something that you really want to do. also, I think that it's about finding, good mentors that can guide you through the process and that are not so much focused on doing the project right or the result of having the manuscript, but that in the process they will also teach you, methodology and the things related to the research, and how to do the poster and how to submit the manuscript so that eventually you can also do it on your own. And most of the research that I participate in, if not all of them, is actually qualitative studies, right? And a lot of it also has to do with medical education because that's that's what I'm interested in. So that tells you a little bit about my experience.
Okay. Okay. So can we come back to Nagwa?
Yeah, sorry, connection.
Yeah.
As I said previously, it comes part with
We've lost Nagwa again. All right. So while we wait for Nagwa to come back, Golnaz, are you there? Golnaz, you want to say something? Golnaz? Okay, Nagwa is back. So Nagwa, can you continue, please? Yeah.
Do you hear me well now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. As I said previously, it comes with part of the work that we should do research because it's our own work. First of all, I didn't like that because it was some sort of an obligation. But after doing my first research, it felt really great that how you do collect, how you do put your hypothesis and test that hypothesis if it's going to happen to be correct or wrong. But it was really a great experience that had motivated me to do a lot of researches later because it makes you a great pleasure and satisfy my scientific need to know more. So it motivates you. It makes a challenge of how to write. What are you going to search in? But we definitely have a lot of challenges here in my country, which we are going to talk about later, as I guess.
Okay. All right. Let me take you up on something, Nagwa, that you mentioned. For you, research started as an obligation, something you needed to do. I suppose that's everybody's experience. But later, you discovered it for yourself. Can you tell us that first time that it became less of an obligation and you discovered it for yourself? Oops, okay. I think I've lost Nagwa. All right. So let's come back to you, Kyle, since you're still available. Um, Tell us about your own journey, Kyle. I can identify with what Nagwa said. A number of us meet research not because we want to do research. A number of us young family physicians as trainees meet it because it's an obligation. Is this something that is common in your own setting? Is this something you experienced? And can you tell us how the journey has been for you?
That is definitely something we experience here as well. I would say the majority of people do the research that is mandatory, and then they don't do it anymore. But my personal experience is once I started on my research journey, I found that I actually really enjoyed it, especially when the topics that we were researching were important to me as a physician, things that I was passionate about. So by continuing to research items that I was passionate about, it not only allowed me to do my daily work to improve patient care, but to take those questions I had about patient care or medical student education and actually evaluate those And then when we publish, when we publish to the world, we don't keep that information for ourselves. We actually improve the entire medical community, and I think that's really important. I want to make a difference, not just as a provider to my patients, but to the professional medical community as well. So that's my personal drive, to publish on things that I'm interested in.
Okay. Okay. So if I get you well, Kyle, it started first as an obligation,
Yes.
and then you begin to discover what's important to you. You begin to discover purpose and something you wanted to do to make a difference. Is this the normal thing with people you see around you, young family physicians you see around you? Does everybody start from obligation to self-discovery? What have you noticed?
I would say the standard is people do their mandatory research and then stop, unfortunately. But those who do find they enjoy research do end up picking it up. Fortunately, we at our residency went from being one of the least productive research locations to having won now back-to-back years the best family medicine research residency in the entire Department of Defense. So it's like 18 residencies across the nation, and we really changed the culture so that we supported. You have to have the support for research, and then you also have to have the mentorship available, the time available. It's a big mix of things that have to be available and come together to really make an environment that is pro-research and allows research to flourish.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you, Kyle, but let me go back to Nagwa, since Nagwa is a bit stable. Nagwa, can you tell us a little bit about how research for you moved from being an obligation, something you needed to do to pass an exam, to something you were interested in doing? Can you tell us what your own experience was like? Nagwa? Okay, maybe Nagwa has some. Okay, good.
Yes, Kenneth. I just didn't understand the question. Could you please repeat it again?
Okay. I was talking with Kyle, and we agree that for many young family physicians, we start off in research as something that is mandatory, something that is an obligation to do. And then we move off to self-discovery, something that we like and something that defines for us purpose, interests, a desire to make impact. Does this describe your own journey? Can you tell us how your experience has been moving from obligation to something you really wanted to do?
As I told you, it was slightly similar. First of all, it was obligation. It comes with the job. You have to do that to move from point A to B. Then after experiencing this project or this act, you found that that was truly something great, because you are adding to the world. You are adding your own experience. You are putting your fingerprint, meaning that we have our own primary health care facility that's affiliated to the college, to the college where do I work. So we have our own place where we can come out with data. We have database, so we can serve people better because there's much more. There is more cultural differences and background differences in research. You know, what comes and suits you in Nigeria may not suit me here in Egypt. So that motivates us to search, to find. The issue was always to find the right hypothesis to search for it. This is number one. Number two was the fund. It was and still a huge problem till now. The third issue, which is very important, is the area of interest, because sometimes we do not work in our area of interest. For an example, my area of interest is mental and psychiatry, mental and women. I do not work in that area so much because sometimes during my work I have to help in other researches that are not related to my specialty or to my interest.
Okay. Okay. So, Nagwa, you've made a lot of very useful points that I think echoes a number of things I've thought about too. That in the transition to making issues like that desire to add to the world. You talked about putting your fingerprints. You talked about discovering how to serve people better. And then it becomes fun to find out what a hypothesis is and go from there. That's a number of times I tell my residents and tell my trainees to look beyond just the exams. I tell them, you're going to pass the exams eventually. So, hey, make this fun. Think about making your prints. But I want to call in my friend, Popola Bemi. He's also a family physician from Nigeria. What do you think? Do you think it's like this for everybody, Bemi? You also work in Nigeria, education to feeling great about research. And if we don't, what's been your experience like? Popular, you can unmute your mic and Pops. Okay, well, allow Pops sort out his mic. Let's come to, okay, Pops, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good, good. So
Can
I'm
you
sure
hear
you
me?
had my question. Yeah, I can hear you. You had my question.
Yes, what exactly was the question?
I'm saying so many things. um, I liked what
Yes, you said so much.
yeah, I like what Nagwa said, and I think for me, what Nagwa said captures the same thing Kyle said, that for a number of us, I inclusive, research starts from an obligation. We discover a sense of purpose. We want to put our fingerprint on the world. We want to discover better ways of service. Okay, we experience, we feel great about it. These are words that I've had Nagwa said, I've had Kyle say, and it seems to be like the recurring theme and what they have said. Would you say that has been your experience? And is that the experience you see around you amongst trainees who are preparing for exams?
Okay, thank you. Well, it's a mixed pot. I think generally it's more or less of an obligation. I have to do it just to move forward. Yeah. But then for me, it's like, okay, so what's next? Because fine, you have all the degrees, you have the papers and everything, then what happens? So it's like you want to, of course, do something different, make a mark, and not the regular everything. But I think in this part of the world, the general question is risk for me. Say, look more for material gains. As in, fine, if I spend 1 extra hour doing a research, how is that going to put anything more in my pocket? That's the truth in this area of the world. Yep. And so it's like, why not I go and do a surgery somewhere and get some extra cash than sit down doing something? Yeah. So I generally see that people more or less, okay, you invite people, let's do something, let's research, and more or less, okay, what's in it for me? People don't see any long-term gains. They don't see anything like no gains basically out of it. That's what I have found in this part of the world generally, basically.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Pops.
You're welcome.
Let's go to Goldness. Goldness, Pops has said in this part of the world, people say, what will research, what is in it for me? Do you think that's the same thing in Kenya? Do family physicians have this approach to research in Kenya?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, goodness.
Oh, that's nice. You know, I think we have to understand that we have got two different aspects here. One is a person who is where we say it's an obligatory because we are doing the residency program. It's part of the package, and we have to fulfill that obligation. Without that, we don't get our master's degree. So that is one part. The second part is, as Bob said, what happens after we have finished. Now it all depends, where are you based? Are you in a private practice? Are you in academics? Are you faculty? So you see, if you are in an academic situation or attached to a university, what happens in Kenya now, the research, especially in where I am at Aga Khan Hospital and even other universities, research has been taken very seriously, and of course it's part of you climbing the ladder. So it helps you to progress in your academics, and of course you have to balance your clinical part as well, where your bread and butter, as we say. So it depends, where are you? Are you total a clinical person, or are you part-time faculty, or you are faculty along with a clinician together? So that also becomes a part of your climbing the ladder in academics, or are you in a totally different scenario of being in a private practice, where you will do research only if you are passionate about it. So you see, these are all different aspects we need to look into it, and all depends which situation you are and how much passionate you are about doing the research. Now, how do you all feel about that?
Yeah.
And yes, research is not going to give you money. It's your clinical work and you're seeing the patients, which is going to pay for everything.
All right. Let me come to Kyle. Kyle, two people have said research will not give you money. What's in it for me? I'd rather be off doing one procedure, make some cool bucks, than sit down somewhere generating hypotheses and testing them. This seems to be a recurring theme for a number of us in Africa. What's your take on this?
For most research, that's probably true. It won't give you a monetary benefit. So you have to get a benefit beyond that. In areas where you're not making as much, that's definitely a legitimate argument and understandable. For me, luckily, we're doing okay. So it's something I'm interested in. So instead of watching a movie or playing video games or doing something that's less productive, at least in my point of view, this is something I enjoy doing on my own time, and it fortifies my actual work. There are people who do bring in the big bucks with research through grants and other things, and those are, again, real serious researchers. So for people who are trying to be clinicians, it's not going to be our big money maker, obviously. But there is an area for family physicians to get into research if they want to do that full time, and then getting grants and other revenues to support that research are definitely feasible depending on where one lives.
Yeah. Kyle, you talked about benefits. Yes, research at the level of a clinician, if you don't have grants and all of that, will probably not bring in the big bucks. But you talked about benefits. What are these benefits? Tell me from your own personal experience. What are these benefits? What keeps you on when you should give up what are these benefits that you think can attract people to
Yeah,
research,
sure.
young family physicians to research?
So things that I value are camaraderie, teaching, investigation, just out of being curious, hard work. So um, all of these values come together in research. It's just one of the different platforms where all these come together through Polaris, through AfriWon, all the other young doctors movements. We've been able to really work together to not only improve family medicine, but I think really improve global health through the work we've been doing the last couple of years. So I like seeing those positive changes, and then publications a few times a year also help. So it's just a personal goal that I have that's beyond what money can buy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, Thanks, Kyle. Maria, can I come to you? Um, you're part of the faculty in your setting. From listening to Kyle, I think there's been a lot of personal discovery that helped his transition from obligation to doing something. Um, is there something more than that personal discovery that you've discovered that helps people make that progression?
Well, I think that is also about creating what we call a scholarly culture, right? A scholarly mentality, where I do believe that not everybody wants to do research or is interested in it. So I think that first, as we have been talking about, is about you having the passion and you wanting to do it. And I also think that with the research, you should create a scholarly culture, right? And that should help you kind of like define yourself as an expert, right, in an area. Because as you do that research, you are building, not only are you sharing knowledge with others, but you're also building your own knowledge in a specific area, which then you can share, with others. So I really think that it's a matter of the culture and the environment where you are. There is a lot of, many residency programs within the United States and universities, and some of them, have a culture that is more prone to research or scholarly activities. They promote it. They look at specifically for people that are interested in that, so that they join as part of not only the faculty but as part of the trainees. And that they provide the necessary time and equipment that you need in order to succeed as you do it. I think that it becomes harder when you are a clinician that has a very high clinical duty and responsibility, because you usually will end up doing it, as Kyle was mentioning it, during your evening times or during your weekends. And you do it because you want to, right? But I think that having, the backup of your department, of your institution that says, yes, here you have the time, here you have the tools that you need, we will buy you the programs that you need, is essential.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Maria. Um, Let me come to two people who are members of the AfriWon Research and Theme Group. They are currently in their training to be family physicians. And let me ask them what their own experience has been like. Okong, we'll start with you, Orok. So tell us, we've had our guests tell us that for them it started as an obligation, and we've moved to some form of self-discovery, of purpose, of wanting to add value. I think that's been the recurring theme from what I've heard from Kyle, from Nagwa, from Maria, and that has kept them going, that sense of personal value. Um, Pops has said, there's no money in this thing. So for you, what has it been like, Orok? You're in the training program, you're expected to turn up your thesis very soon. What stage are you in now? So you can unmute your mic, Orok. Okay, just unmute your mic. Hello, Orak. You're still muted. Okay, let's go to Gelfi while Orak is still trying to figure out her mic. Gelfi, tell us about what's your own experience has been. Um, you've had everybody here talk about their own movement from obligation to self-discovery to wanting to make an impact. Um, Pops has said a number of people just will better off be somewhere doing things that brings in the box. You are at the stage where you have to sit for an exam. So, what stage are you in? Like, you practice in Nigeria, so tell us. Gelfi?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yax. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Correct.
You're cool.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Orok seems to have figured out her mic. Maybe I should wait for her.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Orok.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, I think it's been a challenging period. I actually finished my residency, I think about 3 months ago. And this has been the first time, I was exposed to research. It was challenging and so difficult, the whole process of trying to get a topic right on it, it was difficult. But then I think it was quite interesting, though, when after the whole thing, getting into the field, and actually having to carry out the research itself and all that. But for me, I think, after the whole research, being a young family physician, my problem is after the whole research has been done with, what do we do with it? At the end of the day, what does it add to the body of knowledge? Does it, or is it just the whole process of trying to do something just to connect the dots? I think that's where, it has been really, well, should I say boring, just trying to ensure that you get your certificate and move on with life, So I think if, that part can be addressed, and I think we've talked about mentoring. It's not been easy. So how can we get real mentorship, for us at this part of the world, to be able to enjoy research. So how can we make it more fun?
Yeah.
Well,
well, thanks, Orak. Let me just re-echo something Orak has said. And I think for a number of viewers who are listening from Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, this probably defines why research is still a big issue for us. Maria had talked about an issue of a scholarly culture. And I think it is true that a number of us young family physicians from Africa are still saying, so what about this? I passed the exam, so what, and it doesn't, and I think Orok has made a very about the issue of mentorship. And I think this is something that our guests may need to talk about before we leave. But let me hear from Gelfi. Gelfi, you there? You want to tell us about what your own experience has been?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate this forum so that we can get to see our experiences. In my own case, it was more of curiosity. It started during my days as a house officer. I got to
into a discussion with some older colleagues who were in residency, and they were talking about research like it was an enigma of sorts. So I got in touch with some consultants and I picked up a few things along the way, but I'm still confused as to the statistical parts of the research. It's quite challenging, but in the sense of adding to the body of knowledge or picking things of interest, I have been able to appreciate that part of research. But the statistics and how you use one to correlate into another, I don't know, I'm not using the right words here, but it sounds very ambiguous to me. Even when I pick up articles to review, I read through the literature, but when I get to the results and the discussion, I'm lost. So I find it challenging that even at the end of it all, I have an interesting topic I want to do a research about, but I end up being stuck along the way. That has been my experience so far.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have 15 minutes to go, and I want to use this remaining period for our guest panelists to really help us out here. Kyle, you realize that there's a difference between the experience for some of us in Africa with what you're talking about. You've had Pops talk about people say, you've had, I assure you that the sum total of what you will hear quite a number of trainees in Africa talk about. So you are our guest. You seem to have been able to make this part of your life. How can we make research fun for young family physicians in Africa that share the same? We bring some who has to deal with families, and I told her that you have 2 kids, you're married, and you have to go.
I'm usually writing my research with my daughters on my neck. But can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Some of that was cutting out, but to make sure I understood the question correctly, what can we do to make research more fun and more attainable in Africa? Was that the gist?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So to go to just emphasize a little bit more of what Maria said, a culture of research is very important to have, and that's not at a country level. That's at a location, a residency, a hospital, a training center has its own culture. So it's very important to set that. How does one do that? There's been several studies looking at how to better implement such a culture. So things like having a monthly journal club, for example, having a residency director or the chief who also does research and presents is important. So he's not just saying do it, but he's also doing it. Having mentors within the that program, having a point system. So a point system basically for example, we had to have 10 points to graduate. What is that? We made an arbitrary scale that a national presentation is, let's just say, 3 points, and international is 4 points. A publication is 5 points, and so on. So you had to do and continue on until you got enough to get the maximum, or the goal of 10 points, rather. So everyone had to do at least a certain amount, but a lot of us ended up going beyond the the minimum. So we made teams, and each team basically we'd add up their points and see who would have the most points. So turning things into a competition, especially for type A personalities like most of us, always tends to spicing things up a little bit, and it made it more fun for us in the end. And then the person who had the most points at the end of the year actually got an award. So that was pretty cool, and it really definitely helped with our location as well. So just looking at the objective criteria of what one can do to physically improve that culture is very important. And as you improve that culture and change it around research, it becomes more fun. People enjoy it more.
Okay. Kyle, tell me, how have you had to cope? You lead a very busy life. You have kids. You're married. So how are you able to combine all of this and still lead a very active researcher life?
So definitely have to thank my wife who supports me. You have to have a family and a support network who understands your goals and hopes and dreams and supports those. So because of her, I'm able to do a lot of this research as well. And then you guys, you, Maria, and Nagwa, we have a whole support network where each of us takes a project and we break it down. One of us leads, and we change leaders or do whatever we have to do. But everyone contributes to the project, to the whole project, and it makes it more simple for us all. So if I know I have good people to work with who are just as enthusiastic as I am, it makes it not only easier because we can separate the jobs, but it also makes me want to hurry up and get things done because I know you guys are relying on me, and I imagine you guys feel a similar way. So it's you're not just letting yourself down. You don't want to let your peers down as well. So
Yeah.
those were some things that that I have to thank you all and my wife and understanding family. So.
Thank you, Kyle. Closing words, Maria. How do we make this a part of our lives? We have busy schedule, and we lead very busy lives. So, what's your own advice? Maria? Okay. Well, Maria, you're still there? Okay, well, so what would you say, Joy? Um, how can we overcome the challenges of a busy life and make this enjoyable?
I didn't hear you quite clearly, Yax. Though I would say research was really a challenge for me,
Okay.
and
Okay.
by the time I left college, it was those I really didn't want to look back because it was a traumatizing experience. But you've made it more fun with the AfriWon research team, and I'm getting to warm up back to it. I really had thrown everything back aside. I really didn't want to do any more to do with research. So basically, I look at all of you, Kylie, Yax, and the rest of the team, and I see how enthusiastic you are. You're putting back that enthusiasm in me and making me enjoy doing research. Yes, there is no monetary gain in it because everyone you want to try to do research with wants to wants to look for the monetary gain in what you're doing. They all keep asking, is there a grant? When they see you doing anything, they want to know how much money is in it for us. So that's one challenge we are facing right now. But I think I'm getting back the groove, and I'll really enjoy it with all your assistance. Back
Okay,
to
all right.
you, yeah.
So Maria, can you comment now? Yeah,
Yes.
thanks. Maria,
Yep. Yes, can you
we
hear me?
want to make research a very part of our lives. Just so, yeah, I can hear you. So go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So I think
So
that to make it a regular part of your life is to
your last advice. How can we make this an enjoyable part for a very busy person?
okay. So I think that to make it a part of your life and make it enjoyable is first to engage in projects that you're interested in. I think that also working with people that you, in a sense, you know, right? So your work personality or your work drive, right? Your work and ethics values are the same also help. Because if you have one people in the group that is super slow and everybody else is super fast, then that kind of like, you know, it can be a challenge for the group. I think that also knowing what are your limits. So if you say, you know, maybe you engage in one or two projects at the time and you decide what a specific part of that project you want to complete, and you give yourself deadlines, or you ask for, you know, whoever is the PI or the primary author, you know, so what are the deadlines, and what are the expectations, so that you know how to best to, you know, contribute to the project and not lose everybody's time, you know, during the process.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maria. Nagwa, any parting words on how a young family physician can make research enjoyable part of his life in spite of the busy schedule? Yeah.
Yeah. Regarding my final words, first of all, I would like to thank you for this nice conversation and chat and meeting these amazing people. Secondly, I'd like to say that I had heard Kyle saying something about working while his daughter beside him or something like that. And as you see from the background, you are hearing my children. So children and family are part of the research. You should understand that and cope with that. Family never, ever will distract you from research. They are part from your life. And so is research. Understanding this fact is very important. The second, the third thing, as Kyle said, we should all have the culture of research and have a company that help us to do so. I feel most of you are highly enthusiastic about that. So you can do your own group, your own Facebook group or WhatsApp group or whatever, and start searching what you want to do, where can you start, what are the tools, and start to move on forward. Once you have this company who push you forward and ready to help at any moment, you will feel that you want to do more. And once you achieve your first research in your area of interest and see its publication, you will feel that you want to do more. And we all are here to help you, because we all are family physicians and we all work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'll remember this discussion for being very real. Hearing Nagwa's kids, play on the background just makes it so real. But I've enjoyed talking with you guys. I really want to thank you. I have learned a lot. I have learned from you that they may not at this level be monetary gains for research, but there are also a lot of non-monetary gains. Kyle has talked about the camaraderie that we share when we work together, that sense of discovery that you are contributing to the society, the ability to serve. And has said something very important, that it's a personal discovery. It's accept other parts of the world will come to realize that it's not just about the money, but you make. Kyle has talked about being in a supporting network that stimulates you to do research, and there are quite a number of them. AfriWon offers a research theme group. I've collaborated with Kyle, who is the chair of Polaris. Incidentally, our first paper with Nagwa too, who is the chair of Razi. These are support networks that can help us discover our passions. And I like what Maria said. Maria said something about taking what we can handle, okay, a time at a time, so that we can juggle family and still juggle work and setting deadlines, and working with people who share your interest and who can. Our time is up, but I think we can continue this comments on Facebook and on this media, and I hope that this stimulates somebody to mentor another person, a supporting network, to discover that research about this and work on it together.